Oversharing your life can backfire fast. Not everyone deserves front row seats to your struggles or success. People don't always have good intentions. Setting boundaries and keeping certain things private protects your peace, controls your narrative, and gives you space to grow without unnecessary noise, opinions, or judgment. Silence is powerful. In a few moments, I will teach you a simple shift that will help you take control of your personal space, protect your energy, and stay focused. 1. Silence is power. You are born into a world that rewards noise. The loudest voices seem to rise quickest, and people often feel pressured to declare their intentions publicly. Yet more often than not, it is silence that wins the day. While noise seeks attention, silence cultivates strength. In a society obsessed with instant visibility, the strongest individuals understand that the most vital growth happens away from the spotlight. Like the roots of a tree growing in the hush of the earth, the most profound development occurs in stillness. When you carry a dream, a vision, or a goal, it lives within you like a flame threatened by the wind. Speaking prematurely about it, even with excitement, risks exposing it to drafts strong enough to extinguish its light. Silence is the shelter. It is not the absence of thought, but the discipline of protection. To keep your ambitions sacred is not to deny them, but to respect them. A dream in its infancy is fragile. Sharing it too soon invites voices that might not mean harm, but nonetheless chip away at your conviction. People love to comment, speculate, and project their own fears onto others. And often they do so with good intentions. A friend might question your decision not out of malice, but from their own limitations. A loved one might cast doubt in the name of practicality. But these words, however softly spoken, can linger. They become vines winding around your intent, slowing its upward climb. The result is hesitation, a subtle disorientation of purpose. You might find yourself doubting, not because you don't believe, but because you listened too early. Consider the sculptor alone with a block of stone. Every strike of the chisel is a declaration of faith, a commitment to what only they can see. Do they pause to ask for opinions with every cut? Do they unveil their work at every stage of progress? No, they create in solitude, revealing their vision only when it is ready to be received. Their silence is not secrecy, it is strength, focus, and reverence. So what if you embraced that same silence? What if, instead of broadcasting your next move, you poured that energy into crafting it? The carpenter does not show the world an empty foundation and ask for applause. They build the frame, raise the walls, and finish the details before anyone steps inside. Your dreams deserve that same sacred privacy. Silence is not passive. It is an active, intentional state. It guards your energy from being diluted by unnecessary opinions. It keeps you aligned, keeps your spirit intact, and shields your momentum. There is no need to explain yourself. There is only the need to do the work, to show up for your dream daily, and to trust in its unfolding. You are not hiding. You are honoring the process. You are not being secretive. You are treating what matters with the sacredness it deserves. So ask yourself this: who genuinely needs to know your plan before it takes its first breath? And what might grow inside you if you gave it the quiet it needs to root deeply? Choose silence. Choose focus. Let your actions be the echo of your intent. Let your progress be the proof. And when it is time, let the world witness not the noise of your plans, but the undeniable presence of your results. 2. Protecting your vision. You are handed a gift each time a vision enters your heart. It may not look grand at first. It doesn't come wrapped in certainty or shine with immediate clarity. Instead, it arrives quietly, like a whisper from your future self, delicate and full of promise. It is fragile in its early form, a flicker of light, a single flame dancing in a breeze. And like any flame exposed too early, it can be extinguished if not handled with care. That is why visions must be sheltered. They must be kept close, warmed by your own belief and commitment before they are shared with the world. Too often, people treat their ideas as if they are public property, something to announce and display the moment they are born. But what if a vision is not a spectacle, not a promise to others, but a private vow? What if it is more sacred than social? If you viewed it as a covenant between you and the highest version of yourself, would you still feel compelled to perform it for others before it has matured? The truth is, when others do not see what you see, it doesn't make your vision any less real. It simply means it belongs to you. Until it is realized, until it is built with your own hands and lived with your own heart, it will remain something only you can fully grasp. Not everyone is meant to understand it. Some have abandoned their dreams long ago, trading purpose for predictability. They might not recognize the spark in your eyes or the urgency in your voice, and that's okay. Their inability to see is not a reflection of your clarity. Think of a time you shared a dream with someone and their reaction drained your excitement. It wasn't always intentional, but their questions, their doubts, their confusion, it all settled on your shoulders like a weight. That is the price of exposing a tender idea to the wrong audience. Not because they wish you harm, but because they were not given your vision. Picture an architect standing in an empty field. To passers-by, it is just land. Plain, unremarkable. But to the architect, it is full of blueprints, walls yet to rise, windows yet to frame the sky, and rooms yet to hold laughter. No one else can see what they see, not yet, but that doesn't stop them from building. Your vision deserves the same protection. Speak it only to those who can hold its weight without bending it, or better yet, let it unfold in silence. Why do you crave applause for a dream no one else was assigned? Why seek validation for something only your soul was entrusted with? In trying to make it visible to others too soon, you risk trading your certainty for their confusion. You trade the quiet fire within for flickers of external approval that do not last. Every hour you spend nurturing your vision, it deepens. Every step taken in solitude makes it stronger. When the time comes, your creation will not need defending. It will stand on its own, grounded and luminous, and those who could not see will no longer need to be told. They will witness. They will understand, not because you convinced them, but because you completed what only you could. Until then, treat your dream as a gardener treats a seedling. Shelter it from storms, not out of fear, but because you know its potential. Tend to it with patience. Water it with discipline. Let it take root. Because what you grow within you today may someday nourish those around you. Protect it, not because it is weak, but because it is becoming. 3. Not everyone will understand. You begin with a spark inside, a flicker of possibility, a restless pull towards something larger than your current life. It arrives as a whisper, gentle but insistent, and you feel it in your chest before you can explain it with words. It is a call toward growth, a vision that only you can see clearly, and so, naturally, you want to share it. You speak it aloud, expecting excitement, maybe even support, but what you receive is hesitation, confusion, warnings dressed as concern, laughter that cuts deeper than silence. This is the moment you must remember. Not everyone will understand, and they don't have to. There is a quiet loneliness that often accompanies growth, not because others are malicious, but because they cannot journey down a path they've never imagined. They live according to the borders of their own beliefs, their own experiences, their own wounds. What they offer is not always rooted in cruelty. Sometimes it comes from love. But even love can misunderstand. Even love can caution you against your calling. You must learn to hear the voice of your own becoming above the chorus of their comfort. You may find yourself around familiar faces, daring to speak about your dreams, only to be met with a phrase like, "Be realistic." But realism is a poor advisor when it is defined by someone who stopped dreaming a long time ago. When they say, "It can't be done," what they often mean is, "I couldn't do it." Your vision doesn't need to be argued in a room full of doubt. It doesn't need applause or permission. It needs your belief, your resilience, and your will to keep going. People are quick to pass judgment on what they can't comprehend, but their inability to understand is not your invitation to abandon your fire. You were not born to dim your light until it fits within the confines of their expectations. You were born to burn with purpose. Imagine trying to describe fire to someone who's never seen light. They may call you reckless or naive, but you are the one holding the match. You are the one who sees what they cannot yet perceive. There is power in releasing the need for approval. Every time someone doubts you, let it be a prompt to reaffirm your own trust. Let their disbelief become background noise as you take another step forward. What if you stopped waiting for them to say yes and gave yourself full permission to begin? Every no you encounter can become a doorway into deeper conviction, if you let it. But be mindful, if you continue trying to explain your vision to those who are not ready to see it, their questions will plant seeds of doubt in your soil of clarity. Over time, your once bright vision will feel uncertain, not because it changed, but because you gave it too many outside voices. This is not about blame, it's simply the nature of inner truth. It doesn't compete, it doesn't shout, it waits for you to listen quiet. So ask yourself, are you here to be understood by everyone, or are you here to live the life that calls you? Would you rather be embraced by the familiar or fulfilled by the unknown? The path to purpose is rarely crowded, and often the most beautiful journeys begin in solitude. You don't owe your dream a defense. You owe it your discipline. You owe it your courage. You owe it the chance to bloom. Keep walking. Keep tending to what is yours. One day they might understand, or they might not. But whether they do or don't is irrelevant. What matters is that you answered the call, and you kept going. 4. Energy must be preserved. You wake each morning with a reservoir of energy. It's more than just physical strength, it's mental clarity, emotional resilience, the quiet force of will that shapes your choices, and the subtle fire of purpose that guides your day. This energy is your most precious currency. Unlike time, which ticks on regardless, energy fluctuates, drains, and renews only with intention. Once spent, especially in the wrong places, it is not easily recovered. Every moment you speak too soon, explain too much, or unveil your thoughts to those who haven't earned the right to receive them, you make a withdrawal from this reservoir. Every unnecessary conversation, every attempt to be understood by someone unwilling or unable to listen, bleeds you. It's like drawing water from a deep well and pouring it onto sand. Nothing grows, nothing is nourished, and yet the well grows shallow. Think back to a conversation that left you feeling lighter, more certain, clearer in your direction. Now compare it to the feeling after you've opened your heart to someone who met you with apathy or dismissal. The difference is stark. One experience adds to your reservoir. The other drains it. One is an investment, the other a loss. Imagine standing with a match in the rain, trying to spark a fire. That is what it feels like when you expose your inner work to those who don't recognize its worth. They don't see the flame. They feel only discomfort at the heat of your conviction and instinctively try to extinguish it. Not always out of cruelty, but from discomfort, fear, or their own inability to dream as you do. But when you hold your energy close, when you preserve it for the work that calls you, your power compounds. Your thoughts are clearer. Your actions more deliberate. You are no longer thrown off course by reactions. You are no longer baited into defending what needs no defense. You are no longer watering weeds. Ask yourself, how often have you drained your energy arguing points no one really cared to understand? How many times have you justified your choices to people who had no stake in your journey? How often have you felt the weight of needing to be understood only to walk away feeling small and unseen? You do not owe your vision to everyone. You do not owe your truth to those who haven't earned your trust. Your energy is not a communal resource. It is a sacred wellspring meant to be directed with intention. Let it flow where it nourishes growth, your craft, your evolution, your purpose. In the stillness, you can hear what matters most. In silence, clarity sharpens. But the constant noise, the need to explain, to defend, to perform, robs you of both sight and sound. Guard your energy the way you would guard your home. Be discerning about who you let in. Not every visitor deserves a tour. Not every question deserves an answer. And when that familiar whisper rises, the one that urges you to explain yourself, to seek approval, to make others comfortable with your fire, pause. Ask if the exchange is worthy of your flame. Some energies are sacred, meant to stay within the inner circle of those who walk with you, not those who watch from a distance. So preserve your energy. Spend it on your mission, your craft, your inner growth. Use it to build what only you can build. Because when your energy is whole, when it hasn't been scattered in every direction, your work becomes focused, powerful, and undeniable. And in that focused silence, you do not just survive the day, you shape it. 5. The discipline over validation. You rise each day with a quiet but powerful choice. Will you seek the fleeting satisfaction of being seen, or the deeper fulfillment that comes from staying the course? It is an unseen fork in the road, subtle yet defining. Many, without realizing it, choose the applause, the quick reward, the visible moment. But few choose the long arc of discipline. And yet, it is discipline that becomes the bridge between a life imagined and a life transformed. The instant you turn your head looking for affirmation, you lose momentum. It's like letting go of the wheel while driving just to check if someone is watching you steer. Discipline, on the other hand, requires blind faith. It demands that you continue, even when your effort is met with silence, when your steps are invisible to others, and when there is no one to cheer you on. True discipline is internal. It is becoming your own compass, your own standard, your own applause. There is something deceptive about validation. It pulls you subtly out of your rhythm. You delay the task so you can announce the intention. You pause your progress to gather opinions. You begin to bend your pace, your process, even your principles, to be more palatable, more understandable, more admired. And in that bending, you drift. What was once a private, sacred path becomes a performance, staged for others who don't carry your vision and never could. Imagine a farmer, deep into harvest, pausing in the middle of their labor to ask passersby if they believe the crop will grow. The idea seems absurd, and yet, how often do we do just that, asking for permission to believe in what we already know is ours to grow? The soil does not ask for support. The rain does not ask for applause. The seed does not ask if it's worthy before it breaks open and becomes. It simply grows, as must you. What if, instead of reaching outward for recognition, you turned inward for resolve? What if each day you chose discipline over display? What would shift if your pride came not from being seen, but from staying steady? Habits, when stacked without the need for validation, become legacy. They become the structure that holds your dreams together when circumstances shake. Validation feels good, but its power fades fast. It feeds the surface, not the soul. It boosts ego, not endurance. Discipline, though often quiet and unseen, changes you. It roots itself in your character. It doesn't ask, am I impressive, but rather, am I consistent? And in the end, it's not the loudest voice or the most liked post that wins. It's the one who kept going, brick by brick, day by day, long after the attention disappeared. So ask yourself honestly, do you want to be known or do you want to be great? Known is immediate, but fleeting. Greatness takes time, but it endures. One fuels the moment. The other builds the future. One decorates your surface, the other deepens your root. There will always be temptations to showcase your progress before it's ready, to prove your worth before it's clear. But the truest strength lies in the refusal to be rushed by outside eyes. Let your work speak when it's done, not when it's halfway. Let your habits speak louder than your posts. Let your commitment outweigh your need to be congratulated. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't shine, but it builds something unshakable. Let each act of focus be a brick. Let every day of effort be a layer. And when your time comes, the world won't just see you. It will witness what you built in the dark, what you shaped in the quiet, what you forged without applause. Discipline over validation. That is the way greatness begins. 6. Let results speak. There will always be a temptation to explain, to justify, to narrate every detail of your path as if your worth depends on being understood. In a world that constantly asks for updates, proof of effort, and glimpses into progress, the pull to share can feel relentless. But the truth, your truth, does not need to be defended. A life built with intention, discipline, and quiet conviction speaks louder than the most eloquent of justification. What you build will tell the story, and it will tell it without stuttering. When results enter the room, everything changes. Suddenly, those who once questioned your direction become silent. What was once dismissed becomes analyzed. What was once mocked becomes mimicked. People don't respond to plans, they respond to proof. And results, unlike words, cannot be debated. They don't rely on tone, charisma, or timing. They exist. They stand. They echo. Every time you speak before you build, you risk diluting the signal. You let the world add its noise to your clarity. You open the door to questions, to doubt, to distractions disguised as dialogue. If you're constantly explaining, you're always defending. And if you're always defending, you have little time left for creating. A vision becomes cloudy when it is interrupted by too many explanations. The sharper path is often the quieter one. What would shift if you chose to stay quiet and work deeply? If the minutes spent seeking approval were redirected into your craft? The hours explaining your strategy given instead to executing it? Imagine how much more powerful your progress would feel if it didn't have to be narrated to matter. Consider a musician who speaks endlessly about a song but never picks up an instrument. That is how many people move through life, full of intentions, empty of action. Action, it's not the idea that earns respect, but the embodiment of it. The translation of vision into something tangible, something heard, something felt. Results carry a gravity that no opinion can lift. You do not need to convince anyone of their legitimacy. When the work is real, it is evident. When the outcome is true, it resonates. Let your results speak, not because you are hiding, but because you are building something stronger than a speech. Let the strength of your actions become the language others remember. Ask yourself, is your time better spent proving or producing? Would you rather be known for grand promises or for steady delivery? The answer lies in how you choose to spend your energy. Not every thought requires a microphone. Not every phase of your journey needs a narrator. Some of the most beautiful stories unfold in silence. until they are ready to be shared. Be the lightning no one sees until the thunder comes. Let your preparation strike, your execution flash, and your harvest make the sound they cannot ignore. Let your actions be the message. Let your legacy be a collection of days spent working, not performing. You owe no one a prelude, just the symphony, a complete, undeniable composition that came not from seeking approval, but from living in purpose. Keep your head down, your heart full, and your hands committed. When the time comes, your work will rise and speak on your behalf. So stop talking, start showing. And even then, speak less. Speak through what you build. Speak through what you finish. Speak through the undeniable results of a life lived in quiet, focused intention. Because in the end, the loudest message you will ever send is the one that comes from results. 7. Avoiding saboteurs. You walk with a purpose, steady and focused, guided by a direction that only you fully understand. Your path is personal, forged from your experiences, your dreams, and the quiet call of something greater pulling you forward. Others may not see what you see, and that is okay. Not everyone is meant to walk beside you. Some will cheer from the sidelines. Others will watch in silence. But among them, a few will try to steer you off course. They rarely come with hostility. Most do not even realize the role they play. They appear as friends, family, trusted companions, people whose voices you have long valued. And because of that trust, their doubts land with weight. Their concerns burrow deep. A small comment about your ambition, a cautious warning about your pace, a subtle question about your priorities. Each one digs just enough to make you pause, to make you wonder, to make you reconsider. Have you ever shifted your direction? Not because it felt true, but because someone else suggested it would be safer, smarter, more realistic. That single degree of change, that small compromise, can seem harmless, but like a ship turning slightly from its heading, that subtle detour, if maintained, leads you to a place far from where you were meant to arrive. Picture yourself sailing with your eyes fixed on a distant, radiant shore. A fellow passenger points out the clouds, suggests a slight adjustment just to be safe. You trust them, you listen, you comply. But when land comes into view, it is not the place you imagined. You have arrived, yes, but it is not your destination. This is how purpose is lost, not always in one grand act of sabotage, but in the slow erosion of direction and giving too much ground to voices that do not carry your vision. You must learn to guard your purpose, not with resistance or hostility, but with unwavering clarity. When you know exactly what you are building, it becomes easier to discern which voices are in harmony with your mission and which are noise. Begin to ask yourself with honesty, who truly supports your highest self? Who encourages your boldest steps? Who cheers your growth without fear or envy? And just as importantly, who resists your rising, even gently? Who cloaks their doubts in care? Who shrinks from your evolution and urges you to remain within their comfort zone? Saboteurs don't always raise alarms. Sometimes they speak in sighs, in concerned tones, in backhanded compliments. They call their doubts realism, but it is often fear in disguise. Their fear projected onto your journey. And if you are not careful, you will carry that fear as if it were your own. You do not need anyone's permission to evolve. You do not need the approval of those who cannot see your vision. The more you expose your plans to those who do not understand them, the more vulnerable you become to their influence. Silence in the right season is not secrecy, it is strategy, it is protection. Let your work speak before you do. Let your consistency draw the lines others cannot cross. Let your progress become your shield. And when necessary, choose solitude over sabotage. Not all companionship is supportive. Not all advice is helpful. Some journeys require walking alone so that the path remains pure. Stay true to your course. Stay clear in your purpose. And most of all, stay building. Because in the end, it is not their concern that shapes your future. It is your conviction. 8. The strength of focus. You are given the same 24 hours as anyone else. But what makes the difference between a life of purpose and a life left behind isn't time. It's how that time is directed, not fragmented across endless distractions, not diluted by the noise of the world, but anchored in clarity. Focus is the sharpest tool you possess. It is strength refined. It is energy directed, not dispersed. A mind fixed on one purpose becomes unstoppable. It doesn't tremble in the face of skepticism. It doesn't lose momentum when approval is absent. It moves forward, unshaken and deliberate. Especially when no one is watching, especially in silence, it endures. Because focus isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It simply works. Try carrying water in a basket and you'll understand the cost of divided attention. This is what happens when you give your energy to too many opinions, too many doubts, too many detours masquerading as opportunities. Your intentions leak, your time slips, and at the end of the day, you are left holding the illusion of effort but no result. Focus is the conscious decision to guard your energy from erosion. It is saying no more often than you say yes. It is choosing to build instead of explain, to act instead of announce. Every second spent convincing someone of your direction is a second stolen from actually walking it. Picture a beam of sunlight on your skin, soft, diffuse, gentle. But take that same light and pass it through a lens and it becomes heat, fire, power. This is the transformation of focus. It turns potential into movement, vision into structure, ambition into results. Focus is what lets you cut through resistance, self-doubt, and delay. It is the difference between motion and impact. But focus, once fractured, is difficult to restore. Every explanation you offer to someone unqualified to understand, every update shared for approval, every detour taken to prove your worth, these are cracks in your clarity, pieces of your strength handed out to those who were never meant to carry it. Soon you're running on fragments, wondering why the fire doesn't burn the way it used to. So pause and ask yourself, what truly matters right now? What if you gave yourself permission to focus fully on that one pursuit, that one mission, that one step forward every single day? What if you silenced the urge to perform and simply produced? The world is full of busy people, constant motion, constant noise. But motion without direction is just movement. Progress requires depth. You don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to chase every invitation, every trend, every voice calling your name. You need the right pursuit and the devotion to see it through. Let others stretch themselves thin. Let others seek validation in the scattered applause of unfinished tasks. Let them talk. Let them question. Let them move without meaning. You stay centered. You stay clear, you stay building, because in the end, it is the focused that finish. It is the ones who give their time not to everything, but to the right thing, who arrive where they were meant to be. And they do not arrive by chance. They arrive by choice. Stay focused, stay sharp, stay moving. 9. Moving in silence builds character. You discover who you truly are when no one is watching. When the applause fades and the stage lights dim, when the crowd finds something else to cheer for, you are left with only yourself, your routines, your inner dialogue, your quiet effort. And it is in this solitude, in this space absent of performance, that your real character begins to take shape. Not under praise, but in the pressure of repetition. Not in recognition, but in the resolve to continue regardless. Moving in silence is not hiding. It is not shrinking. It is choosing to build in the unseen so that when the moment of visibility arrives, the structure you reveal is solid, rooted, and unshakable. It is choosing substance over spectacle. It is resisting the urge to narrate every step, choosing instead to live the steps, to own them fully and privately. Silence has a way of stripping you bare. It removes the layers you wear for others. There is no one to impress, no audience to applaud, no feedback loop to reinforce your efforts. In the quiet, all you have is your why, and that is the most powerful thing you can face. Because when you act without external reward, you learn whether your intentions are real or borrowed. You see clearly what drives you. Picture a blacksmith at work. There is no crowd gathered, only the rhythmic strike of hammer to steel, the heat of the forge, the slow, intentional shaping of something that did not exist before. It is repetitive, it is unseen, but it is essential. Each blow matters, each adjustment counts. And though no one watches, something strong is taking form. That is the power of silence. In silence, you cultivate patience. You learn to wait without growing restless. You begin to trust the process instead of rushing to the outcome. You stop chasing approval because you realize it was never the prize. The prize is who you become while no one is clapping. The discipline you build, the promises you keep, the integrity you hold. Who are you when no one notices? What do you choose when there is no reward for choosing it? The answers to those questions define you. They are not shaped by perception, but revealed in persistence. That is where your value is born, not from how loudly you speak or how widely you are seen, but from how steadfastly you build when no one is looking. The path of noise is always available. It's tempting because it offers fast feedback. Post your progress, get praise, share your struggle, receive comfort. But those moments, while affirming, do not last. They do not carry the weight of true growth. Because when you skip the silence, you skip the depth. And without depth, the spotlight breaks you instead of elevating you. But if you build in silence, you are different. You don't rise to perform. You rise because it is time. You don't need permission or attention. You know who you are and what you've earned. Your strength was built in the dark. Your confidence came from doing the work when it was invisible. And that kind of strength cannot be shaken. Let the silence refine you. Let it remove the need for approval. Let it teach you to listen inward instead of looking outward. In that stillness, your true power is born. And when the day arrives and your work finally meets the world, it will not need defending. It will not need decoration. It will carry the quiet authority of something earned, not given, of a soul shaped by consistent, unseen effort, a character forged in silence, ready to stand in the light. 10. Act, reflect, grow. You are not here merely to wish or to wonder. You are here to act, to wake each day with intention and use your time to shape something meaningful. You were not given life to simply imagine a better future. You were given the tools to build one. But action alone, without pause to examine and understand, becomes little more than noise. And reflection, if left unaccompanied by movement, becomes a dream delayed indefinitely. It is the union of both, deliberate action and thoughtful reflection, that forms the engine of true growth. Each step you take is not just motion. It is a message to your future self. It says, "This is who I am becoming." When you act, you put your belief into motion. You declare your intent, not with words, but with your time, your energy, your focus. And when you reflect, you extract wisdom from experience. You do not simply walk, you learn how to walk better. This cycle, this rhythm of doing and learning shapes not just your days, but your direction. Think about the times you've felt stuck in patterns, repeating the same mistake and wondering why the outcome never changes. Often, it's because action lacked its counterpart, reflection. You were moving, yes, but not adjusting, not listening. Or maybe you've spent weeks or months thinking, planning, waiting for the perfect time, a moment that never arrives. That's reflection without action, insight left unused, potential stored but never spent. Now imagine a craftsman who builds without measuring. Their work might appear finished, but it won't hold. It lacks precision. It lacks the awareness of what works and what doesn't. Now imagine a philosopher who only dreams and writes, but never tests those thoughts in the world. Nothing is created, nothing is lived. But the one who acts, pauses, learns, and acts again, this person builds something enduring. They build with both hands and eyes wide open.